Yo, what is going on everybody? It's iiAlexP here, and today we're back with another video. So as you guys may be noticing, I'm going to be showing you guys how to actually master F3X tools. So you've actually heard me a lot talking about F3X tools from one of my previous videos, such as how to make City Part 1 to Part 3, and the top 5 best plugins. So if you guys want to master this plugin or those building tools, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's try if we can hit 20 likes in this video. And yeah, guys, let's get right into this video. Alright, so we're actually gonna be doing something else. So as you guys have been noticing, we're gonna be adding a part. So it could be any part: normal, truss, wedge, corner, cylinder, ball, seat, vehicle seat, spawn. It doesn't matter which, but as of now, we're going to be talking about the move tool. So the move tool is actually really good. The only thing you need to pay attention of is the increasement. This is basically the studs. So, compared to this one, because this is how you actually move with studio tools. And with this is you move it with F3X tools. So in the axis, I don't think you need to worry about that for now. So we don't have to get into those details as of yet, unless if you're actually advanced into it. So if it had to be an increasement of 1, it's much easier because basically there's no Z fighting. Even if I were to put them into just a random, see, it's actually not that bad, but I highly suggest just resizing it because why not? So yeah. And for local, big difference. But if you had to be one and then group, well, not group it, but select both of them or the 3 of them, I think. Well, let's just say the 2 of them. Yeah, just both of it. And then when you press local, it's different because it's on this side. If it's last, it's almost basically the same, unless, well, there's basically a difference between local and last. Local, it only just focuses on this one, but I highly suggest using global because it basically makes sure like everything is just selected and in the right size and the right fit. So yeah, basically there are some big mistakes inside when it comes to using the move tool, which is just changing the increasement like 0.001. You copy it and you put it and then you move it here. Well, that is actually pretty hard because, as you guys may be noticing, you can't find the right movement. So I highly suggest, if this is by the increasement of 1 stud, move the other part with 1 stud, basically. So what I mean by that is 1 stud, because this was actually placed as 1 stud. So if you place it here, there you go. But if you were to place a random block or a random part here, then how are you going to be doing that? So, for example, if you're trying to make a building, referring to how to make a city, but if you're trying to make a building, you should always start with a new part to make it a little easier, so you don't have to just keep finding for the best resizing tool like 0.1, 0.2, like times with 2, and then dash, and then that, and then like yeah. So you know what I mean. So you can't just find you're just gonna have to find the best and perfect size if you're just gonna be doing that. So if you're trying to make a new building, just always make a part, because you know why? Because of this, you just can't connect it properly and this and that. So making a new part is my number 1 thing. This is basically one of the mistakes I've made, but you'll learn it by doing it. So yeah. Now on to the resize tool. So with the resize tool, it's basically just like how it is, and then if you size it here, it's just how it is, just like how I showed you with the move tool. But there's a big difference between this, and I'll show you. So, you know, there's also one that is the both. So the both direction, it actually sizes through both sides. So here and here equally. So basically like this. Alright. As well, when it comes to the resize tool, it also plays a crucial role to pay attention onto the studs, you know, like the increasement, because the difference between the studs and the increasement is just like how it is with studio tools. Basically, just like with this part, this is how you actually do it with studio tools, but this is actually how you do it with F3X tools. So basically, if you're just gonna add a part here, you also find a really good size and a pretty good alignment, because you didn't add a part that is on the wrong position, because you know, you see this exactly. So that's what's messed up with the thingamajiggy, and you see there's basically no Z fighting, and if you were to place another one, then that is all good. But if you were to place this one and have that at, I don't know, probably like 0.01, and then that is basically the hardest one, you see. And then the thing I don't want you doing is that I don't want you just trying to do 5.0 or for 0.99, for 0.98. Like, that's not what I usually want you guys to be doing, because that's just, first of all, that takes a long time, and second of all, it's not going to be perfect. Either way, it's just not going to look perfect. So, yeah. So I remember back in my day, it used to always like take a long time to get there. But if you were to put it at 0.1, then I think that's pretty good. And then if it had to be at 0.01, then you're gonna have to find a better alignment, just like how it is and how it's outlined. But if it's like 0.001, then that's a different story. But yeah, so yeah. So if you were to make, I don't know, probably like a lantern or something like that, or like a statue, for example, like this, and then you can turn it normal. Well, I'm just gonna put it to 0.1. It's gonna be a pretty good size. I'm gonna put it to both, because it's basically in the right direction, in the right spot. So you see, if you're trying to make like a, I don't know, probably like a statue or a fountain, then this could actually work, basically. Let me try and add this here. Yeah, so it's basically how it is. There we go. So that actually looks really good. And that is why I really love using F3X, because of the both direction and the normal direction. I highly recommend, just like I same as usual, just to actually just make a new part if you're trying to make a building or anything like that, just so you don't have to find the best and the perfect size. Like, this took me a long ass while to actually get find the perfect size. So don't do my mistakes and just get along watching this video. Alright, so another one is the rotate tool. This is where you could just rotate however you want. I actually never tried how local actually works or last, so I think that's just basically the same thing as the move tool. But if you were to move this a little bit, I think that's a good size, right? Or a good placement. All right. And then if you were to use, yeah, that you could use. There's a big difference between those two. You see? So if it's local, it focuses on this part, but if it's in the center, it pays attention to both of them. But with last, it's basically way more different, because with local, on the other hand, it rotates both of them. center is just the same as last. But the difference between center and last is that center, it focuses onto both of those buildings that are grouped together, which they're not grouped but that are selected. But with last, it focuses on it focuses like it just touches this part. But when it comes to the rotate tool, you also could as well change the studs of how you actually want to be rotating the part. So this is just a little bit just almost the same as with studio tools, but increasement is increasement. Basically almost the same thing as you guys may be understanding from how you can resize it and as well how to move them. So, you know, 12, and if you put it to 1, then that's just like very smooth, you know, like they go like side by side and side by side, and then this and that, you see. So, yeah, right onto the paint bucket tool. This is basically an easy one because you could just pick however you want, and you could actually try using any of those colors. It could be, I don't know, grime, wheat, carnation pink, gold, eggplant, teal. So you could just use any color you want if you're trying to make a building or anything like that. So that is basically an easy one. So you could just pick out a color, but as long as you select it, if you were to group them, if you really like to select them, then yeah, that would probably work just fine. Alright, now onto the surface tool. I never tried this one before, so let me see how that works. I remember I've heard of this before. Yeah. Studs, hinge, motor, universal, glue. Okay, I think I know how this works because I tried watching one of those videos back in the day. So let me try it out. Kind of want to mess around with them. You could also feel free to mess around with them too. So all right. So if they're glued, you go to surface tool, and then you could put the type, and then glue, and then you put it on the top. But if it's in the back, where would that be? It doesn't say the back. If it says all of it, then it's all of it. Like, what I mean that it's all of it, then this could get glued in. Let me see. Oh wait, but the thing is they're anchored. That's what I forgot. Let me see. Yeah, they're anchored. So let me unanchor this real quickly. Because remember, I put this surface tool. So all. No, not all. I should put it all. Yeah. And then make it glue to all of it. And I think that'll work. I never tried it before. But it's actually my first time using this because I never really tried using this. I see other people use it whenever they're trying to make a car or anything like that. Alright, it doesn't work. But how to make it work is that if you were to glue this one, I think that'll work. See, yeah, basically it actually does glue it in. That's good. Alright, and then with universal motor, I think that's if like you're trying to make a car, right? You know, you could actually make a car out of F3X. So hinge, studs are like the parts that are actually in the surface tool. Oh, this is actually pretty good. So you could actually measure the studs basically, like the right measurement right here. That's actually pretty good. Alright, now on to the material tool. So what you're going to be doing, you're going to have to select an object or select anything you want, and You could actually, it could just be any material. It could be wood, brick, foil, cobblestone, concrete, corroded metal, diamond plate, fabric, force field. Oh my god, force field looks really good. At least it's just fine, but it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna put it into a force field. Ew. Pebble, plastic, sand, slate. Alright. Yeah, so that's basically it. Well, not really, because transparency, that is really useful when it comes to trying to build a window. Because as you can see, and the reflectance, that's if, yeah, that's if you really see it, like if it's like a mirror, you know. Then just changes the color all the way to blue. Yeah, so it actually reflects the sky, you see. It looks actually weird. You could actually use this to make a type of window, you know. And then, can you even change color? I think so. Wow, that's weird. Yeah, it's like that because of the transparency, I'd assume. But hey, at least no biggie. Alright, so now with the anchor tool. So basically when you always start placing a part, basically the parts are always anchored because you place the part. I'll show it to you. Or you know what? Let me see, let me stop it. Run. Hold up. Let me move this here. So this is actually anchored because I placed it with F3X tools. And if you were to unanchor this, it would actually fall. I'll show you. There you go. Can't you see the difference? And also, for the collision, that's if you're trying to get through a wall. So this is actually really useful when it comes to actually making a door. So if you're trying to actually make a door, I'll show you. Plastic, wood. Just follow along on how you could actually make the door. Then ball. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, so it's actually like that. So just select them and then collision, turn them to off. If it's on, you can't go through the walls, but if you put the collision to off, you could actually go through the walls. So this is actually very useful when it comes to trying to make a door. So I'll give you an example. Play. Alright, you'll see. There we go. Where's it at? Oh, that's weird. Collision off, collision off. Oh yeah, I think it's because, yeah, it's unanchored. I forgot, I copied it, but it doesn't matter because we're not trying to make a building. So yeah, alright, there we go. See out here? You get through the wall. If it's off, you can get through the wall or to the block, through the block. You could even do this in a script too, which could be game.workspace dot whatever the name of the part, and dot collisions equals false, right? Yeah. And then with collision on, both of them on, you walk all the way here to there, and you see you can't get through it because the collisions are on. Forget about that. Alright. And the part that actually works anyway, you could place a ball, a truss. Truss is actually really good because you could actually climb a ladder. You could actually climb with trusses. I could show you that later. Truss, wedge. wedge, corner, cylinder. I'm just rotating them because I could just showcase it to you. But whenever you always try placing a part, it's always anchored. That's the big difference when it comes to placing a part in F3X and on Studio Tools, because if you place a part with Studio Tools, it's unanchored. But if you place a part in F3X, it's anchored. So, yeah. And then cylinder, and then ball. It's like that. Seat. It's like same as usual with the part, but the big difference is that you could sit on it. And this is a part, so you can't sit on this one, but you can sit on this one. And then a vehicle seat, that's a different one because that could be used if you're trying to use a vehicle seat. So this is actually a vehicle seat, this is a regular seat. So you could try using that if you were to make a car. And this is actually a spawn. I added a spawn here just so I can get close to it. This is actually part, seat, vehicle seat, and a spawn. Alright, let's see how it goes. I think it's just gonna spawn to me right next to the types of parts. Yeah, you see that? So this is actually spawn. This is vehicle seat. You see the speed. And then the regular seat says nothing in the GUI. But on this one, yeah, because this is a vehicle seat. And this is a spawn. And this is a ball. This is a cylinder. This is a truss. This is a wedge. This is a truss. The thing I really like about the truss is that you could actually climb through it rather than just making yourself a ladder. So this is what I really love about this. And then this is just the regular part. So yeah. Alright. So now onto the mesh tool. So basically I'm in this server. Why? Because if I actually do it on Studio, the meshes don't even work. Plus, these F3X tools are actually basically new and updated. So yeah, so what you're gonna actually be doing, you're actually gonna be adding a part. It doesn't matter what your crease meant, but you can just move however you want. And then what you're gonna be doing, you're gonna press H. And there are different varieties of meshes. You have the block, you have cylinder, you have file, which we're gonna talk about that later. And then we got head, we got sphere, we got wedge. So the only one that we're gonna actually be talking about is the file, because you could add any mesh you want with the file from the web bar link, and I'll show you that later. But we're gonna be talking about how the scale works. So if it's 2, it scales on both sides. But the only thing that's different is that the blocks that aren't even outlined, they have the collisions off. You know what I mean? Like you get through it. But the only thing that is outlined is that it has the collisions on. You see? Which in here you can go on top of it, but in here you can't because you're going through it. Same goes for any type of mesh, alright? And then with offset, that's very different because you could actually make the block get out of its outline. So as you guys may be noticing, you can go on top of this invisible block, but you can't go on top of this one because it's not outlined. If it was outlined, then that's a different story. But the thing is, the collisions here are basically off in here, and it doesn't even tell you because it says the collisions are on. But yeah, because if you put the collisions are off, you can go through the invisible block. Same goes for the previous one. But yeah, if you get what I mean. Now onto the files. So the file one actually is very well known for this. So what you're gonna actually be doing, alright, so what you're gonna be doing for the file mesh is that you're gonna have to go to create, and then you could use your mesh, or you could use one inside the library. Mainly, I don't have any meshes just yet that I have made, but I'm gonna be showing you guys a random mesh. So you could pick however mesh you'd like. For me, I'm gonna be picking the Dominus Frigidus because it's for free. I'm kidding, no, you know. Yeah. So what you're gonna actually be doing, you're gonna see the web bar right here, and you could try copying the whole thing, but mainly you're gonna need the ID. So this is actually the ID of the mesh tool. So you see the mesh ID is there, and yeah. So what you're gonna be doing, you're gonna actually just copy the ID. It works on any mesh you want, because yes. And then what you're gonna be doing, you're gonna copy it, and then you're gonna paste it here. It's gonna be very big, but you can actually make it smaller as long as you like. You see? Very big. But you can make it smaller however you want. So I'm just gonna put it to 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1. So as you can see the dominus frigidus right here. So yeah. So let's get right into the next tool. Alright, so now on to the decal or texture tool. Mainly, this tool is mainly used for decals more than the texture tools, because how are you gonna ever find the texture tools unless if you have them on Studio? That would work. But what you're gonna be doing, you're just gonna be adding a part, and then you're gonna resize it just so it could actually show a little more. I mean, you don't necessarily have to, but if you want to, sure. And as well, don't forget, if you guys want to mess around with F3X tools in this server, the link will be in the link in the description below. Alright, so you resize it, and then you're gonna go to the texture or decal tool, and there are a few sides where you're gonna actually do it on. So I'd say it's the front, the back, left, and then right, and then this is the top. But basically this is the front. So what you're gonna actually be doing if you want to add a decal, you're gonna actually do the same thing as you did earlier in the mesh tool, but you're gonna go to the decal section. So yeah. Alright, so what you're gonna actually be doing, you're actually gonna go to the create section, and then you're gonna go to well, I mean, you could use your decals, sure, but mainly, we're gonna go with library, and then decals, and then you can use any decal you want in the library. Mainly I'm gonna be using the epic face. So what you're gonna actually be doing is gonna be almost the same thing as usual as the mesh tool, just like I said before. So you're gonna actually be going into the web bar, and you're gonna copy the ID, which is right here, and then what you're gonna do, you're gonna copy it, and then you're gonna paste it into the image ID. And basically it shows it right here. So this is actually basically the front, this is the back, and then this is the left, and then this is the right. And I'm just going to resize it just so that I could show, and it looks pretty cool. And then on the other hand, for oh yeah, and also you could actually make yourself a face with it. But you know what sucks is that this is actually, the face decal is not transparent. So yeah. So that is actually it for the decal tool. I just added a head mesh because it looks pretty cool, you know what I mean? But the thing what you can do, you could actually change the transparency to like 0.6, or it could be 1. If it's 1, it's just 100% disappeared. But 0.5 is just a little bit of its transparency, this and that, but it looks really good. So yeah, so let's get right into the next tool. Alright guys, so we're actually back on Studio. There's this tool that I'm going to be explaining later, and it's actually the well tool. So what I'm going to tell you about the well tool is pretty hard. You could just watch it on someone else's video, because this is very confusing and you need to actually dive deeper into knowing this. So as of now, I might probably be skipping this one because it's a pretty hard tool to actually learn. So I might probably do that probably later on in the future of upcoming videos. So yeah, so we're just gonna be skipping this one, and now we're gonna be moving on to the lighting tool. So what you're gonna be doing to add some, spotlight, point light, and surface light, what you're gonna actually be doing, you're actually gonna be adding a part. So first things first, what you're gonna actually be doing is you could add any kind of surface spot or in any way where you could actually add some light. So spotlight, point light, surface light. So I'm gonna give into some bit of differences between um, those kinds of lighting. So this part, the red one, is gonna be um, the red one. You know what? No, not the red one. The yellow one is actually gonna be the spotlight, and then the purple one is gonna be the point light, and then the red light is gonna be the surface light. Alright, so this is gonna be spotlight. This is actually where you can actually change any color you want. Basically, it's basically from RGB, right? Pretty weird. Let me see, because I think you could use any color you want. Yeah, so if you actually want to use any color you want from the RGB, you're gonna have to move this part all the way down to red to actually have access to most of those colors. If it's up to here, it makes it lighter. If it's, for example, it's like light and dark. So if it's like here, it's much lighter. It's there is a little bit, it got a little darker, so yeah, and then up here it's a little lighter, but you don't necessarily just have to go all the way here. It doesn't matter, because if you're there, you could actually change the light all the way darker. So you might probably get the hang of it later on, but you don't necessarily have to just have to find a way to do it. So yeah, so I'm just gonna make it as if it's yellow, and then all the way down to yellow. I don't really see any yellow just yet, so in order to see that, we're gonna have to make the brightness a little bit all the way, probably like 40. Yeah, that's basically it. Range 1, 14, 10. It's just like where it's gonna be locating at. I feel like with the range, it makes the brightness all the way up. And the angle, it's on a 90-degree angle, 45 degree angle, and then yeah. Or if it's like 360, that would go all the way around. Or I mean, it doesn't look like it's all around, unless if you're to move it that way. And then, oh yeah, I don't think there's no 360. There's just 180. Let's try shadows. What does that do? Right. And then we're just gonna be adding point light. Color. You could just make it a little lighter. Oh my. Wrong one. Oh yeah, this is where I actually changed the color for that one. Point light. I'm gonna make it all the way to purple. And then brightness, I'm probably just gonna make it to 50. And then you could have however which range you want. Basically it could be 180. No, not 180, but 60. Just on how it's just like on where you're gonna actually be adding the brightness. So it's basically the size. 20. I'm gonna add shadows as well. You put 50. So I mean, it's kind of like you're kind of resizing the size of the circle basically. And then for the surface light, I'm gonna put this to all the way to red. Brightness 50. Range 50. Oh yeah, so this is pretty different. And then the angle could be 180. It could be 50, 10, 50. So it's basically which angle it is. But on the other hand, you could switch. You could use like which side you want: back, left, right, bottom, top. And I think you can do it on this one too. Let me see. Yeah, you can do it on any light: bottom, left, back, right. And then here, let me see this one. There's no sides to actually have that move, so it only works for the surface light and the spotlight. If you're gonna actually have the sides, you know, go back and forth or left or right, top and bottom. Let me see. And then with spotlight and surface light, let me see. Spotlight and surface light, there's basically angles. Point light is just kind of a bit regular because there is range and brightness, but the angles are on spotlight and surface light. So yeah, the next tool is actually the decorate tool. So this is actually one of my favorite tools because you could actually add smokes. Well, you could add smoke, fire, and sparkles. You could as well try adding any color you'd like. You could just go creative with it. Mainly, I usually use these to actually troll in some servers back in the day. I remember I used to like make the server lag back in the day. So yeah. So because if you're gonna actually be using those tools, you're gonna have to be very cautious. You know that. Because you know if you're gonna actually be using F3X tools and you know do a few things, you know, with F3X tools you could actually make the server lag. So you kind of might want to have to be cautious on that later on. But this is studio, so there's nothing to worry about. But you could actually add any color you want. The way how you actually color this is almost the same as usual as before. You know, dark all the way to lights, and then out here that could possibly be fire. Fire looks really cool. So you could add a color and then the second color. No, wrong one. Okay, that one. Color. Kind of want it blue. Looks so cool having it blue. It reminds me of Ghost Theory. Yeah, so the heat is basically on how large basically the heat is, right? No, not how large, but how fast it is to move, you know? The 1, 40, 25. Oh no, there's no 40, so the limit is just basically 25. The size, you can just make it large however you want, but first things first, with the heat, it's just on how you would want the heat to go fast or have it slow. If I were to have it to 1, it would make it a little slower. But if it were to be 25, it would go quite faster, you know what I mean? And then with the other one, which is sparkles, which is sparkles, is actually just sparkles, basically. You can't change any size. You can't make it go larger. You can't make the sparkles go larger. But the only thing you can do with the sparkles is that you could actually only just change the color. I really like sparkles though. Those effects that you actually add in the F3X look really cool. It seems pretty nostalgic in my opinion because I've used these F3X tools like basically like 4 years ago. But you know, I'm a returning builder. I forgot how to build, so I decided just to learn a lot more into it. So yeah, but you can actually change however color you want with the sparkles. So yeah. Alright guys, so that is actually it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.